And we are recording, and I'm going to start letting people in, and we'll play a quick video while people are coming.
Your webinar from Recruiting Insight will begin shortly. At Recruiting Insight, we offer scalable recruiting solutions for new, experienced, and team agents. Supercharge your recruiting and talent attraction efforts and leave your competition behind. Thanks for being a part of today's session. Let's get started.
$54, you're responsible for.
Day one, and Ben, you're going to get the countdown.
News, and we have a mutual friend. I think that guy, I saw him drug out of Union Trust when we were open.
And there we go. Welcome everyone to our Recruiting Insight Mastermind and webinar today.
No, she's not.
We're glad you're all here. I am going to put folks on mute real quick.
It's a big Zoom, but
And if you could mute yourself, that would be great. I'm going to mute everybody as we still have a few folks coming in. You know, our intention today is really to add a lot of value. Many of you I know, my name is Mark Johnson. I'm one of the managing partners here at Recruiting Insight, and I lead many of our mastermind sessions like this. Ben Hess is joining us today. Our other managing partner, we have Jay from Bold Trail Recruiting and Juan from My BFF Marketing. So we're really excited to add some value and bring a lot of amazing content to you today. We still have a few folks coming in. Ben, as I pull up these slides, I don't know, I'll make you co-host. You might admit people as they come in.
Will do. Yep.
If you wouldn't mind taking care of that.
Yep.
And our topic today really is 4 steps to better talent attraction and recruiting for 2025. I'll be leading most of the session, and the panel will jump in as we get started here, Ben, Jay, and Juan. Now, as we're talking about this, you say, well, why should I listen to you guys? You know, what have you guys done? And I think Jeremy and Lindsay are joining today. You know, we work with single office broker owners and recruiters. We work with multi-office, multi-state, and enterprise-wide, but we wanted to highlight Jeremy and Lindsay today. This past year, they grew from 42 to 75 agents, achieved a 25% market share. Working with us, effective sourcing and coaching was certainly part of their success. And maybe when they pop on here in a bit, we may have them talk a little bit about how they did that. Now, I've got a few questions, and I'm going to ask you guys to do some polls. So let me get the poll up. Is recruiting and attraction getting harder or easier? So I'm going to launch that poll. Let's see how. Jay, any thoughts on this? Is it getting harder or easier?
I think recruiting, I honestly don't, I think the answer is it's harder. But I think to me, it's the same thing for the last 25 years. If you're actually engaged in it and have a plan and a process, like we'll talk about today, then it gets easier. So, but right now, if you don't have a plan, it's pretty hard.
Well, you just nailed it. So I'm going to end the poll. The survey says it's harder. And we know it's getting harder. And that's part of what we're going to talk about today with accountability and systems from Ben, with data from Jay, and with marketing from Juan. But, you know, clearly nearly 75% are saying it's harder. Let me do another. I'm gonna do another poll here. So no big surprise there. Let's do another quick poll on your operation. Your team, single office, multi-office, multi-state. Give us a little bit of feedback on kind of what your operation is. And I probably should have put not listed or something other. Juan, you're working with single offices, multi-offices, and larger organizations, even some of the biggest national franchises, right?
We are, yes.
So it looks like we have a pretty even audience today. I'm going to end this poll because we have quite a bit of participation already. So, we have a pretty good mix of some single offices, multi-office, same state, and multi-office, multi-state operations. So what we discussed today is really going to be helpful for no matter what kind of operation that you have. Not too many teams today on that. And then the last poll, and we're going to do some polls throughout, but this last one before we get going, just so we kind of know where everyone's at. Tell me your time zone. Let's see here. And that one won't let me launch because I think I must have the existing poll already going. Yeah, let me stop that one. There we go. And then your time zone real quick. Let's see where everyone is in the country. East, west. Ben, you have any predictions on where we have the biggest audience from?
It's giving it away already. I think the East Coast is going to win here. So a lot of people, I think some of the West Coast folks are just waking up. I think that's the problem.
It could be the problem. We need to increase the level of accountability to get that stuff going. So
Right.
let's end that poll. We'll share it. Yeah, we have a lot of East Coast. So we've got some information from the East Coast we're going to share today. And yeah, it looks like the Mountain and the Pacific time zone, we've got some work to do.
Mm-hmm.
So let me stop that. Well, look, we know it's getting harder. And the purpose of what we want to do is bring some sanity to what's a tough process. Now, along with Bold Trail recruiting and our partners at MyBFF, Ben and I are deep into what we believe is one of the industry's leading study on agent migration. And we'll be publishing this in the next few months and sharing a lot more data. But what's interesting is why it's getting harder is there's fewer moving. And we looked at 2024, we looked at 4 of the major MLSs across the MLS. We'll share who those are shortly. But it represents about 45% of all the agents in America. And if you grouped them all together, it was just under 6% of all those agents moved. But we know that it's not all agents, right? We have to remove the low or no producers and the affiliates and all that kind of stuff. But when you move all that out, it's about 13% moved in the last 12 months. 13% is a significant number. But as we trend this over time, we're seeing a little bit more stability. There's a competitive landscape, as you all know. So I don't think that surprises anybody. What was a surprise to us, and I'll kind of capture this. I wish I would have done a different headline. There's really 2 headlines here. Agent selection matters, and it's never been more important. Because what we're saying, no matter what the model is, traditional, flat fee, tech-enabled, capped, there's all this movement between model types. So what it really leads us to believe is leadership matters more than anything. Leadership matters if you're a flat fee, a tech-enabled, traditional, or a cap financial model. The cap financial models, you all know those names. They only represent about 9% of the firms, but they're getting 40% of the agent migration. But guess what? 41% are going out the back door. Almost 1 for 1. For every one they get, 1 leaves. And we're seeing that in the traditional model and the flat fee model. The tech-enabled model, which we'll talk about, is retaining just a little bit. There's all this churn. And so we're going to talk a little bit. Ben is an expert in agent selection. And we'll talk about leadership as well. Did this surprise anybody in the chat bar? Big surprise, or no? Ben, I can't see the chat bar, so you may have to help me.
Okay.
What did surprise me is seasonality. Now, of the 4 MLSs, we just took 2. We took the West Coast, California Regional MLS, and the Bright MLS on the East Coast. And we tracked the seasonality of when agents moved. And it was just the opposite from the West Coast to the East Coast. In the Bright MLS, you can see all the agents moved in January, February, and March. Yeah, there were agent movements throughout the rest of the year, but a pretty dramatic fall off in that August through December period. In the California area, it was pretty even, but it was that September, October, November period. So I'm going to have Juan talk about a little bit the importance of putting our best foot forward with a campaign at the right time ahead of seasonality. Yeah, we got to recruit 365, but there are some periods of time where seasonality kicks in. Does this surprise anybody? Shocking, Jay? Does this surprise you?
No, I think certainly, and I'm in the Northeast, so that's the mantra, and I've been following for 30 years as a broker, active recruiter. You know, it was Labor Day was the time that you had to be, if you weren't engaged by the time the summer season was over, you weren't going to get those agents in January, February, March. You had to start building that rapport and trust and engaging those folks and working.
Yeah, for sure. What's interesting in these 2 MLSs, there's nearly 15,000 agents that moved. These are 15,000 agents with production. This is after we remove the zeros and the nuns and the affiliates and the whatever. These are with significant production. And so we'll talk why it's still important to build relationships with these folks. And then finally, before I get to the panel, in the news, Rocket acquires Redfin. Everyone's been talking about that. Ben wrote in his blog the other day, we were talking about, well, how do we outwit, outplay, and outlast, which is the Survivor thing. One of my good acquaintances actually wrote the book for Survivor. And we got to thinking about, hey, we're not going to outscale Redfin or Rocket, but we can out niche them, we can out localize them, and we can out personalize them. And most of the folks that I recognize on the line here have such strong roots in their community that if we get focused on this, we can win our fair share and more. Well, before I turn this over to the panel, we've kind of determined there's really 4 things that all great top performing recruiters do, all top firms and we see them. We see the ones that are reporting their numbers and are having great success, like Jeremy and Lindsay, and others that are struggling. What we see is they develop and follow a strict routine. And everyone's going to get these slides, by the way. So when you're done and you're registered, you'll get the slides and you can share them with anybody. And you'll also get the recording if there's folks in your team that weren't able to make it. But they develop and follow a strict routine. They use persistent value-based follow-up to convert leads. They consistently generate leads by investing in relationships and talent attraction events. We're going to have the panel talk about the importance of talent attraction events. And then finally, which we all struggle with, narrow the focus, sharpen the value proposition. And, we can't be all things to all people. And so this is what we're seeing from the top producing firms. So let me introduce Ben, Jay, and Juan. And Ben, you want to just introduce yourself real quick, and then I'll go to Jay and have you introduce yourself, and Juan the same. Ben, you want to start?
Absolutely. It's great to see everybody. I see a lot of friends on the call today. Thank you for those that I know read the daily insights. I'm from Recruiting Insight. Mark and I operate that company. We have solutions in the new agent area. We have the solutions, a couple different solutions in the experienced agent area around coaching and around doing calling. But the thing that we're focused on is really helping leaders get really productive at recruiting day in and day out, because it's hard work and it's difficult. And love the fact that many of the folks that read the daily insights are here and are making a commitment to continue to get better with this hard, difficult skill to master.
Yeah. Jay, how about you?
Sure. Good afternoon and good morning to those still in the Midwest. Excited to be here. I am very passionate about recruiting. I am with Inside Real Estate now and brought a product that I developed called Bold Trail Recruit. That's how passionate I wanted to build a system that helped make it more productive, easier, better on your time, and better results. But that comes from 25 years in the brokerage industry as a broker operator, consistently making mistakes as an experienced agent recruiter, culminating in the best practices, but knowing what the seats you're all sitting in and the struggles, and hopefully sharing some insights today to help you be more successful in the future.
Cool. And Juan, introduce yourself.
Hello everyone. I am Juan Urbano. I belong to the team at My BFF Social,
Hi.
a marketing agency. We
Oh,
help
no, it's a good time. I'm just turning off.
Yeah. Let me mute everybody.
help companies build. We help companies build their social media and paid ad strategies to help recruiting, as well through social media and Google efforts.
Mark's muted.
Mark, you're muted, so you might need to unmute from there.
Oh, did I mute myself? We're going to do a poll. Yeah, we're
There
going to do another poll. I had to mute everybody. I guess I muted myself. What's your biggest challenge? 2025. What's your biggest challenge? Is it retention? Is it talent attraction, recruiting? Is it profitability? Is it operation support, marketing and branding? Navigating the the changing landscape? Something else not listed. Hop into the poll here. And obviously everyone's here for talent attraction recruiting. So guess what's leading the poll? But profitability is right behind it. Retention, not so much, which will be interesting. Let me end this poll and I'll share it. Talent attraction recruiting, number one challenge in 2025. And that's what we're here to share today. Profitability right behind it, right? And Jay, don't these two things go together? Talent attraction recruiting and profitability? Oh, babe, we got to unmute you guys. Yeah.
As we've all heard before, recruiting solves all problems, right? If you've got agents coming in and producing, that certainly solves your bottom line.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so let me start with Ben. Ben, I want to talk to three of the panelists about the biggest recruiting mistakes or the biggest recruiting challenges. And Ben, I'd like you to focus on accountability and systems. What do you see as some of the biggest challenges people face in accountability and systems?
Well, I think the biggest challenge is probably a little bit upstream from that, but I think it does have to do with accountability and in systems, in the sense that just the ability to be able to generate leads, experienced agent recruiting particularly, being able to generate leads on a day in, day out, week in, week out basis, and really be able to get above the noise. It is really difficult right now to as Mark mentioned, we have about 2 million real estate agents. There's about 700,000 or so that are actually productive across the market. Of those, 13% are moving. And so the reality is there's everybody's after the same people, and all these agents are getting bombarded with messages about recruiting day in, day out. It's consistent all the time, and so it's very difficult to get above the noise in order to be successful at this. So I say that's the number one challenge I see. Most of the pitches, the recruiting pitches that are out there, are financial based, so they have to do with splits or leads. Those two tend to be the thing that account for what we think is probably about 90% of the dialogue that goes on. And so for you to get above that with a message that's maybe not as focused on that is difficult to do. And so that's the number one challenge that I would say. And then I think the second challenge is, and if you're going to get above that noise, is you're going to do it by establishing and connecting and building relationships with actual those agents. So we forget that this is a relationship business, and what we tend to do is we want that that thing that's just going to get us past all that tech solution, that silver bullet that's going to get us past all that. But the reality is those that build relationships and connect with people, they solve agents' problems. They get into their competitors' organizations, and they out relationship their competitors. Those are the ones that are really being successful right now because they're really getting above the noise.
Well, and Ben, you're right on, and we're seeing it in the data. When we lead with the splits and the financial, that's why we're seeing all this movement. One for one. One comes, one leaves, right? And we're seeing it in the data where the relationship, the culture, there's 6 other factors we're going to talk about that agents told us are just as important as the financials. Well, I'm anxious to get more and more of this report out to the folks, but right, I think you're right on. Jay, how about data? What are the biggest mistakes you see from broker owners, recruiters, the staff, either with data or without data?
Sure. Yeah, it's recruiting is sales, right? We're selling ourselves and our value proposition. That's the first step, and Ben touched on that. And what's your compelling value proposition? And Mark, you said it early on. We can't be all things to all people. So for me, the sales part, there's art and there's science, right? The science part of it is the data. I find you can be more productive is not just going to the MLS and pulling a list and starting top to bottom and asking if they want to move. That's just not going to work, as we all know if you've ever tried it.
Right.
So to me, it's effective targeting, starting with knowing who you are and what the value proposition is, and then selectively looking for agents who fit from a data standpoint to your model. So though you're starting with the people where you have a higher intent, if you will, reaching them, conversing with them, and starting that dialogue towards a move. And if you weed out and the people who have no intention don't fit, so you can target those people to develop that list of what I call my future roster to start those conversations more effectively using the data. And that could be anything from sales volume, transactions, list to sales side, geography, using those things based on what you're recruiting to start your conversation should lead to more productive end results of people actually making the move.
Yeah, and Bold Trail, the data helps us get to that. And I think, Jay, to your point, when we get to that, we're going to see less of this churn because instead of bringing them on for whatever reason, we bring them on for the wrong reasons, and they just end up going out the back door.
Right.
It's just a bunch of wasted effort, right?
Yep, exactly.
Juan, how about you from a marketing perspective? What do you see? Is it lack of having a Google My Business page, lack of digital campaigns? What are some of the mistakes we see that folks might be making?
I think two of the things that we need to consider when we are doing a social media campaign or a digital campaign for recruiting, it's taking care of the visibility that it's where Google comes to play. The reviews have a huge impact on SEO, but also on credibility for the brokerage or the team or the office, as well as having a marketing team, a marketing strategy and mix well placed. So we need to define, as Jay was mentioning, who's our ideal candidate, where are we targeting those agents, so we can target and build the messaging that we are going to put out there for those agents. And timing matters. So we see the seasonality as well. So it's important to have those into consideration when we're building that strategy for the year long.
Yeah, for sure. So I challenge everybody, if you don't have, depending on the size of your operation, 15, 20, 25 agent reviews on your Google My Business page, put it on your to-do list today to go get reviews from your agents to review how they love what you do. We love the broker support. We love the training. We love the culture. We love the connection. We love our leadership. Google reviews should be, in my opinion, part of the process, as well as pictures. You know, the Google reviews, Juan, we should have at least what, 5, 10, 15 pictures, maybe some videos on your Google reviews,
Definitely
on your Google My Business page.
That is correct. So definitely adding activity to our business profiles through pictures, through posts, because Google Business Profile now works as a social media platform where you can post different things and news about your business. That shows activity and shows social proof of your company. So it helps attract those leads that are out there actively looking for a new office.
Yeah. Well, to kind of wrap up this segment, here's the 6, I think we covered most of them, failing to develop a compelling value proposition, neglecting to build the relationships, Ben hit that, and Jay, lack of consistent lead generation, or not using some digital marketing like Juan's talking about, ineffective follow-up and nurturing. Ben, I'd like you to come back and talk to that for a minute, and then overlooking the cultural and the fit, which is why we see all this movement back and forth, right? Hey, I think it's going to be a fit. I get over there, it's not a fit, and I bounce. Then what about the ineffective follow-up and nurturing?
Yeah, well, there's that old saying, the fortune's in the follow-up when it comes to sales, and I think that's true with recruiting as well. What makes it difficult with recruiting is you make a connection with somebody, you start to build that connection with them. I think a lot of times hiring managers get into this, well, I'll call them every other week, or I'll call them and ask them if they want to come over. There's really, you're offering nothing of value along the way. And so obviously those calls get ignored, and that isn't a very productive sort of relationship. So when it comes to follow-up, what we encourage people to do is look at this as pseudo managing. So think of yourself, if you had an office of, let's say, 50 agents in your office right now, I want you to think about having another 20 agents in a concentric circle out that don't work for your brokerage right now, that you're pseudo managing. Okay, and what we start to do is we start to treat those people like they're already hired. When I send something to my agents about what's going on with the marketplace, I'm sending it to them. And these are quick little connections to them. Hey, we covered this at our sales meeting this week, thought you might be interested. So we're talking about big, complicated things. But that follow-up, especially with those 20 in your pseudo-managing group there, that concentric circle out, you need to be sending things it needs to have a personal sort of feel to it. It needs to be relevant to what it is that the pain that they're experiencing, and everything they get from you needs to be helpful. They need to say, wow, whenever I hear from this manager, I'm getting better. So you're becoming a better manager than they have. And that's really how follow-up is designed to work. And that's how it works most effectively.
Yeah, and Ben, that just to follow up on that too, and that's another way I use the data. I get that daily insight onto what's happening in the folks that are in that concentric circle, what's happening in their business, so I can be the first one to acknowledge it, first one to coach from afar, and show that I'm paying more attention and adding more insight of value than their current situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's do a quick poll on recruiting goals. Are you on track to make your goal this year? Where it's almost the end of March, basically, and are we on track to achieve what you set out to do way back in December or January? Juan, any prediction how you think this poll is going to come out?
I want to see what the audience is telling us.
Yeah, we'll see. My prediction is going to be about a third, a third, and a third. And success leaves clues, just like with our agents. So what's in this poll, and I'll share it. So, about 20% saying, yeah, I'm on track. Great, congratulations. Almost 50% no. And hey, there's still plenty of time to make this happen. And the three panelists here and us will hopefully give you some ideas to help that. And, about a third, maybe. So we know we're onto something where we can add value and help. Now, I'd like to switch the conversation to leveraging attraction events. Ben, you're talking about follow-up and follow-through and nurturing and adding value. One of the ways that we can add value is we're already doing a sales meeting for our own agents, or we're already doing an event for continuing education on topic A, B, or C. Why not invite 5 or 6 from our warm list to come over and experience our culture? How important one is that, and how important is it for others to experience our culture? For Ben.
Yeah, so I think it's critical in the sense that there's no other way to really understand who you are as a leader and understand what it's like in your office. I hear when we put value propositions together, we help people develop value propositions. I hear a lot that, hey, we have a great culture, we have great agents, we have great people who work with us. If people could just really understand what's going on inside our office, and they could see that, they would see how compelling that is. Here's the problem. Everybody says that. If I talk to 6, 8 of your competitors inside your market, everyone's going to say they have a great culture. Everyone's going to say that they have that you guys have a lot of fun together, and that you have lots of systems that are actually producing results and all that. Okay, which I believe that you do have something that's probably better than your competitors. But here's the problem. They don't know it, and you can say it all day long, but there's nothing like them experiencing it until they walk in your office and they hang out with you and they hang out with your agents and they see how it is that you interact. It's that all of that is the picture's worth 1,000 words sort of thing. So they have to experience that in order for it to be real. And then a talent attraction event is one of the ways to do that, because you're offering something of value at the top, at the surface level there. But the real objective is to get them to experience your culture and who you are as a leader firsthand.
Yeah, I love it. Jay, how about your thoughts on talent attraction events and getting people involved in the culture and observing and just kind of hanging out with what it's like to be there?
Yeah, I would say it's never been more important, given all of the uncertainty in the market. We've been so short on listings, interest rates have been so high. We went through all these NAR lawsuits. Right now, these are, to me, one of the most, if not the most important thing you can do to show that confident leadership. There's so many brokers out there who are uncertain and on their heels. And if you're the one out there in the forefront, on your toes, leaning into this, saying, I got you, this is a place to be, and showing you're the expert on that topic or whichever one you're attracting people to come listen to and learn about, you're going to differentiate yourself in a way that's going to attract people.
Yeah. When I built my brokerage and we were attracting the most agents, I had a talent attraction strategy. And I'd like to share that I wasn't as concerned if the people I invited came. Hang with me for a minute. Whether they came or not was irrelevant to me. It gave me a purpose and a reason to add value, to connect with them up front and invite. If they didn't show up, it gave me a purpose and a reason to follow up and share a few highlights and share my notes. So yeah, I wanted them to come for sure. But if they didn't, I have a growth mindset, and I was like, how can I maximize and use this as another reason to follow up and share notes? Juan, from a marketing perspective, is it easy to kind of leverage some of these events through digital marketing?
Yes. So the most important thing is that we plan and take into consideration 2 things. The first one, as we spoke before, was the seasonality. So that will define what marketing mix we're using. Through a social media type of campaigns, we'll be nurturing all year long, because we want to be on top of mind of those agents' future moves. But in the high peak times where agents or employees are moving from one brokerage to another, we need to be there when they are looking for. So the higher intent, we need to make sure that we are there, that we are showcasing our advantages and defining that messaging that will differentiate us. So defining our target audience, new agents, they look for support, they need to find that growth in their careers, while experienced agents are looking for their positioning and growth inside of the brokerage and lead generation. So those type of messaging are the ones that are going to define our strategy.
Yeah, I think Ben and I have learned pretty quickly that, kind of the new agents respond to some of the digital marketing and experienced agents don't. It's more, the relationship and referrals and that kind of thing. Speaking of referrals, before we go on to the next topic, let's do a quick poll of your towering strength. Your recruiting towering strength. And we've got that poll going, and we have quite a few there. Ben, I'd like you to comment on this once we're done. Got a few. I'm going to give it just a few more minutes. No surprises for me so far, but let's end this poll and I'll share it. No surprise that building rapport. We're all salespeople. We're very good at that. Active listening is pretty high, but look at this: the attraction and retention events, something low, and we can help you all with that. We have here at Recruiting Insight, we have at least 5 different attraction event white papers that you could take and make your own. Goal setting workshop, quarterly business review, how to build a team right. We have a number of these that if you'd like to have a one-on-one session, how you could leverage these, we'd love to talk to you about that. Uncovering pain points falls kind of something to improve on, and converting recruiting appointments. But Ben, you want to comment on any of these?
Yeah, I think that the two at the bottom, particularly the consistency of effort and then creating those new recruiting appointments are the things that we just see leaders struggle with across the industry. The reality is this is difficult work. It's hard to stay on track when it comes to doing recruiting. It's that type of thing where you give, and you get a very low amount of positive feedback. And because of that, it's easy to give up. It's easy to not to stay consistent. And so it's always helpful for you to surround yourself with some other people who are doing this kind of work. I always get concerned when someone's trying to do this on their own. I always say, don't go it alone. Get some other people around you who are doing this work that can help you with it, that can hold you accountable. So having some partners on that basis. And then appointments is where it's all at, right? Being able to convert these conversations into appointments and then get into that follow on what we talked about earlier about building that relationship, solving problems on the back end. Yeah. So that the entry point to that is appointments.
Well, and you all know me. For those who do know me, I'm a Moneyball guy. Moneyball is appointments. We can predict with one number the success of our agents and the success of our recruiters with one number, the number of appointments we all have on our calendar right now. No appointments, no business, right? I mean, it's pretty simple. So, I'm kind of driven focus-wise by how do we drive more appointments? How do we drive more appointments and work my way backwards from more appointments? That may be a whole webinar we do there. Well, I'd like to go on to 6 key questions that all of us should be asking ourselves, and we'll have the panel comment on this. I'm going to start with Jay here in a minute. But number 1, experienced agent recruiting and attraction goals. What is the goal? What limiting beliefs might we have? And we have a great work paper on how to work through your limiting beliefs and those of maybe your team. Top competitor's value proposition. Common recruiting objection. The time investment that's required, and solutions and accountability. Jay, any thoughts on this, on the 6 key questions we all ought to be asking ourselves?
Sure. It's 6 different things, but they all kind of tie together, right? either all of us still do, or some of us have coached agents, right? And we talk about, let's review what happened in 2024, put a plan, goals, activities, systems to make a better 2025. And yet we as leaders rarely do that in recruiting. And that's one of the things that helps us fall down on it and put it off till the next day, because we're starting from zero, which is the thing you don't want to do in real estate on the sales or recruiting side. And
Right.
from just to tie back into the appointments, as you mentioned, it's if you're going to take the time and time block to make the calls, one of the things I say is like that, if you're going to have the goals to get the appointments, it's the methodology, it's the scripting, it's getting through the objections, but also having, and Ben touched on it, having something compelling to say. So when I do the data research, I'll have 3 things specific about their business to use to get over those first objections, so they know they're not just the next name on a list. So I'm already building rapport. I said they've seen I've done some homework, so it moves the conversation forward, gives me a chance to make that first impression, to extend that into the rapport and relationship building phase.
Now, one of the clients I'm working with used the Bold Trail recruiting system, your system, to basically, they had 10 people on their list, and they were looking at their list to sell ratio and their list to sales price. And they showed them, compared to other agents, how they were underperforming because they were just taking listings to take listings versus taking listing, And isn't that kind of the power of the data that you all have put together?
Yeah, it's your like Ben calls it the concentric circle of that. I call it my future roster. Same thing. I want to be coaching those people better than their current broker is, with data that's specific to their business, and that's powerful. That's the trust that's going to get those people to eventually make the move, because you're showing your care, concern, expertise on their specific business.
Yeah. Ben, any comments on this?
Yeah, the two that jump off the list to me are the limiting beliefs and then the time investment. The limiting beliefs things. I notice, especially with experienced agent recruiting, it's just really it's really easy to get negative on this stuff, because you are experiencing a lot of rejection, or people don't understand what it is that you're doing, or how it is that you're working, and those kind of things. And so we get a lot of negative feedback, and so there tends to be a cycle of depression or anxiety that kind of associates itself with this type of work. And that's why it's so important, I think, to be in a group. One of the things that we do is we run these what we call talent attraction groups, and what they are is that 10, 15 leaders in a room in a Zoom meeting like this at one time, and we get to hear about other people's wins, and we get to hear about the appointments that they're making. We get to hear about some of the disappointments that they had. Just knowing that someone else is out there and they're experiencing it, and hey, they're in it, and oh, they are getting appointments. Oh, what are you using? How are you doing this? So it's just, when you're isolated, it's really difficult to do this kind of work. It's helpful to get into another group.
Ben, I had one yesterday where I had 4 managers that we were doing our calls for about 30 minutes. And afterwards, it was the most powerful 5 minutes ever. Because one of them shared, well, hey, one of my calls went this way. And the non-competing manager from across the country said, well, here's how I handle that.
Yes.
And his eyes went about as big as a kid at Christmas. And they had this dialogue back and forth that really helped them. That doesn't just happen when you're trying to do this alone. Yeah. So it was super. I was really thrilled with that. So if you'd like to get in one of these, I call them tag groups, accountability groups, whatever you want to call them. We do those every week, and would love anybody to participate. Reach out to Ben, or I will help you with that. Well, so how can we help? And we can help through sourcing. We can help through systems, marketing, data, and execution. We have an appointment setting solution, and we can help with consulting and accountability. Juan, I'd like you to go through real quick. Tell them real quick what My BFF marketing and your systems can do for folks listening in.
So in the real estate industry, we can help by building those strategies for recruiting on social media and Google, positioning yourself and your company in that space by optimizing your current campaigns and optimizing the efforts that we currently have. So for social media in Meta, Instagram, and Google, and help leverage the seasonality and all those tools available in the market to recruit those agents.
Okay. Jay, how about Bold Trail? How can Bold Trail help with in this effort?
Yeah, it complements the activities planning, agent attraction stuff in all facets, right? Sourcing, once you've defined that value proposition of what you're recruiting to, and you potentially, hopefully, identify those companies within your market that are most the best places to look for agents that fit your culture, you use the data to look for those agents. You can look for their production trends up or down, struggling, maybe it's not a good year last year, they want to make a move for a better year this year. You can look for those gaps in their business that you can help coach to better production if they were with you. All of those things, as well as just not starting from zero. Having something you can reference every day, look for insights and reasons. I call it the who to call, when to call, why to call part of this, so that you're constantly reaching out with compelling value-based coaching while they're not at your brokerage.
Oh, and one of the things that we're working on, that I'm really excited about, that is going to help everyone listening in. This study we're doing is the most comprehensive ever done in the industry. And the insights, just the insights I shared at the beginning of, in a sense, model doesn't matter. You know, this shiny penny over here that we think everyone's going to, well, yeah, they're going there, but they're also leaving at the back end one for one. And so we're going to help you identify where the opportunity is, how to leverage it. And yes, it's hard, but how to be smarter, approach it more strategically, and drive your results. Ben, any comments on these?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially the consulting accountability side, but also the sourcing side. So, for those of you who don't know, Recruiting Insight has three different things that we focus on. On the new agent side, we focus on sourcing and selection assessment. So, you probably know that about 90% of the people that get into this industry as new agents don't make it past the first 2 years. So, what we've been able to do is optimize that process, help you select, source and select better candidates. There's a number of third pool clients on the call today, and I think any of those would be happy to talk to you about that. But been able to get better people and more people that can get in and produce. And it's great for a broker because those are where the high margins are. And on the experienced agent side, as you probably figured out already, we do a lot of coaching. We run the accountability groups. We help people, just the hiring managers, do the day-to-day work of recruiting that's really really difficult to stay consistent with. And so we work on that. And then the final thing we do is we actually run a call center. And our call center is focused on a little more, I would say, higher level of detail than some of the other calling services are out there. We work one-on-one with the actual hiring manager. We figure out what kind of value proposition that you have. We have more thoughtful conversations. And we have a very experienced US-based group of callers that are really pretty good. So it does make a difference who's doing the calling. And so whether any of those solutions would be helpful for you, of course, reach out to us and we'd be happy to talk to you about it.
It makes a big difference. Well, so we're going to send you the recording for everyone. We're going to send you the slides. We got a virtual link to do a consult, email, website for Jay and for Juan. We have a whole litany of resources on our resource library for some of the talent attraction events. We have one on limiting beliefs. We have one on goal setting. We have one on how to build a team right and wrong to coach agents. Many agents, as we know, want to build a team and they shouldn't. And this will help you coach them through why they shouldn't, and the ones who should, how to do it right. So we have lots of resources for you. With that, did we add value today? Give me a scale of 1 to 10 in the chat bar if we added value, and maybe one thing that you picked up that was worthwhile in the chat bar. Looks like we got a 10 there from Rick. Good to see you, Rick, from Atlanta. And the resources will be on the link. You can also go to recruitinginsight.net/resources, or go to our website, recruitinginsight.net, and you'll see a resource tab at the top, and those resources are in there. Are there any questions from the group that you'd like to ask the panel? Any questions for the panel? Donna was saying, hey, the Google reviews and adding the reviews from agents, adding photos of your sales meeting, of your awards event, videos, your recruiting video ought to be loaded up there and those kind of things on your Google review, Google My Business page. Any questions from anyone? Stacy says the key takeaway is getting better understanding Google Her Business and adding reviews to agents. She thought that was gold. That is gold. There is gold. Well, it doesn't look like we have any questions.
Jessica had a
so
great
with
comment.
that,
Jessica had a great comment with Jay helping her out. So sometimes it's hard to get through the surface of some of this stuff that's out there in the industry. So reach out to Jay, reach out to Juan, reach out to myself directly. We'll be in the follow-up emails, of course, and Mark as well. So if you're kind of having trouble getting through the surface here, reach out to one of us individual. Make sure you get pointed in the right direction.
Oh yeah, see Julie here, yeah, where someone helped walk through and all right. Ben, any final thoughts?
So I would say as you go in, we're early in the year, right? So we're almost through the first quarter, though. As we go into this stage of the year, and I think Jay mentioned it before, recruiting happens all year round. Of course, there's more is movement more in the fourth quarter and the first quarter. I think as you go into this time of the year, I think you need to start thinking of planting seeds and nurturing. This is the primary work that you're doing right now, is planting seeds and nurturing. You need to be doing that work now, or there will be no harvest when it comes to the fall and the next first quarter of next year. So it isn't that we don't do recruiting work this time of year. We actually do more, and it's the more difficult side of it because we all love the wins at the end of the process. So I would encourage you in this time of year to be working on your systems, working on planting, working on nurturing, and so that you have a great harvest on the experienced agent side particularly.
Well, I'd go back and say, when you look at the data, there's agents that move every single month of the year.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, in California, there's 700 agents that move every single month.
Mm-hmm.
Productive agents with production. It just happens, there happens to be a lift, it doubles to almost 1,400 during a period of time, but every single month, there's people that are moving out there. Jay, any final thoughts?
Sure, yeah. Just to follow up on what Ben was saying, it's you got to start planning, start putting the plan in action. Understanding that agents we all know they don't move when we want them to move. But I can tell you that if you're planting those seeds, you're having those conversations, if you're building that trust and rapport, you can get a pretty good gauge of what your harvest will be out of those relationships. But if you don't start that now, expecting it to happen as soon as you start, that's when people get frustrated and fail.
Yeah, for sure. And Juan, any final thoughts on marketing?
I think marketing is very important because we need to stay on top of mind, and digital media and marketing efforts will help us be there for higher intent when people are actively searching for a new place to be, or when we are planning for a future move. So we need to be on top of mind. That's, I think, the best takeaway from this panel.
Right. Well, we'll send out the slides. We're going to send out the recording. I'll have everyone's contact information and how to reach with them. I want to thank you for spending time with us. I know how valuable all of our time is, and we're honored that you take the time to spend with us, and we hope to add value. That's the whole deal here. And with that, I'm going to wrap up the webinar, and we'll see each of you along the way. Good luck in your recruiting goals, and until we see you again, may your hopes be stronger than your fears. Take care.
Thank you for attending today's session. For more information, please surf, text, or send us email